The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Glenn Atwell Jr. with ComCept Solutions, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the third in our series of webinars on new products or new features that we're offering. This one is on ComCept.net data maintenance. It's newly expanded with new functionality, new data elements, and it is now completely browser-based. A couple of things of housekeeping going forward. This is a completely unidirectional webinar. There will not be any questions taken during this session. During the presentation, Todd Johnson, who will be doing the bulk of the presentation on data maintenance, will refer you to some documentation that we have produced outlining all of the new functionality. And before we take any questions, we would like everyone to go away from this with the information from the webinar, plus have the opportunity to review that documentation. And then if you have any questions or need any training going forward from there, to support your submit a support request from that point, specifically asking for what it is you need extra help on. With that, I am going to turn it over to Todd, also known as TJ to most of you, and let him take over the presentation from here. Take it away, TJ.
Will do. Hello, everyone, and thanks for all joining the webinar. We're going to be just kind of going over, highlighting, we'll go into some detail, the new features within this data maintenance application. It is embedded right in the software, so there's no separately installed application for those of you that were using our previous version. So what we're going to talk about first is a couple things just related to security. You do want to verify that you only have users you want in this application with the proper permissions. So I'm just going to show you just a recommended idea as far as setting up the security. What I usually do is just set up a brand new group. There's only one permission related to this new data maintenance app so far. We will be adding separate upload and download permissions per data type or spreadsheet type in the near future. And then, of course, you just assign the users that are going to have access to this application to that group. Your navigation to data maintenance is within Utopia. You do see there is a data maintenance link underneath the company section. So whatever you use to navigate to Utopia, whether it's an advanced reports link from the core application, anything that gets you here, you can access data maintenance from there. One thing that you're going to get listed into, the first time you open this application, for those of you that were on the older version, if you remember, we had a user agreement that needed to be signed and faxed back and tossing paper back and forth. We've actually added that to this, so the very first time you access this, you are going to be prompted for a user agreement, and it shows up right in there when you first access data maintenance. Looks just like this. You just kind of read through it, and then you acknowledge at the bottom with a check mark, and then accept. It's only a one-time thing, so it's not on a per-user basis. It's just basically for the company to acknowledge that you're aware of what the user agreement is for data maintenance to proceed. Once that's accepted, you won't see this message again, and then it'll just open up to the first tab within data maintenance. So what you see here is this is just a listing of uploads that have been either scheduled or uploads that have taken place and are completed. It would also report if there's any failed uploads and give you a link in the status column to correct those, as well as, you know, filtering by what type of data updates you've done through a certain date range and so on. What we're going to talk about is it's all downloads and uploads. We've kind of eliminated the need to have direct updates like we had in the old version, just for the fact that we were able to, in this version, add a lot of extra fields per spreadsheet that filled in all the gaps that were missing from the old version. So when you download information, the screen that you're presented with here is selecting what type of update you want. So we'll kind of go, I'm just going to kind of show you the, there's 5 updates, 6 updates in here right now. We're going to be adding 2 more, and then, 2 more fairly quickly, and then there'll be more coming after that. The 2 that are missing that old data maintenance has right now, that this one is still in the process of getting built, is your Price Pro updates and the ability to add new part numbers to the system with a template. Once those are in place, that'll basically completely replace the old version. What we'll do first is I just want to show you each particular spreadsheet that is available to you with all of the columns included, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about how you can manipulate the spreadsheets compared to what the old version did as well. So one of the new features in here is the ability to maintain attributes. So this is a sample of an attribute download. This is a small demo database that I'm using here, so it's not really robust, but you can see that you got your customer attributes and you got your master inventory attributes. It's a combination of the cells here, customer number versus item code. That's basically depending on what the data type is for what that attribute is being assigned to. You also have an information column right here. The reason customer number is the required field is because that is a unique value that has to be different across the entire database. Similar to an item code, it has to be unique as well. So you're seeing the customer name or item description depending on that data type. And then your attribute column at the end here. So customers that have more than one attribute, they would appear in the list more than one time, each attribute that they're assigned to. For adding or deleting off of this sheet, what you're really doing is you're just filling in this column, and then you're adding your item code, what type it is, and an attribute name. You don't need to fill in the customer name item description column. It's just an informational purpose deal. And you also, on new entries, when you're doing add, you don't need to have anything in the internal ID. This isn't the actual internal ID of the customer or the item code. It's the internal ID of the attribute assignment. Another new sheet that's been added is the ability to maintain your customer special pricing and price profiles. That could also include your promo price profiles if you're doing quantity breaks or monthly specials type deal. So I've opened up a sample of this one as well. So you see the same type of rules apply on this one. You've got a column where you're choosing whether it's an add, a delete, or if it's a change. Anything that's done as a change, you will have to have these internal IDs intact. Anything at the bottom that you're adding would be an add. If you wanted to delete an entry, you just key that in with delete. And then on the upload, that particular entry in that monthly specials promo profile would be removed. Some of the columns that you see here across the top also, you see your quantity break entries, you see beginning and ending dates for doing monthly specials on your promo profiles. And then you also see your standard price profiles and customer special pricing entries. And we'll take a look at some of the filtering options as far as how you can download these. One note on both of the attribute and the promo, price profiles and special pricing is this column is required to be filled in for an upload to happen. So if there's values from what you download that are not having any changes made, you do remove those from your spreadsheet, or you will get an error saying that this column must be filled in. So rather than just say a change and then actually have no change taking place, you're a whole lot better off just removing that set of data where no changes are taking place. Okay, one of the standard updates from the original version, what I've done here is I've just downloaded everything so you see all columns that are available to you. And you'll see across the top of the spreadsheet in the header row in yellow, those are actually additional columns that were not part of the original old data maintenance plan. So you've got your customer information, address, city, state, zip. maintenance for emails and websites, main contact. This is all stuff that was on the previous sheet. Location number, salesman number, that's actually was previously salesman name. Customer type, and then you see statement period is new, the credit status is new, terms code, tax codes. You can also do your bill to, ship to setups using this. Then you see all these checkbox options that are in on your legacy screen for the customer maintenance are all either true or false. So your CM schedule, ship to pricing, promos, disallow promos, and so on. You also have on these sheets an internal ID that's specific to the customer that needs to remain intact and associated across the entire row of information. Just a note on that, if you're ever sorting a spreadsheet, you want to make sure you're sorting either the entire sheet or you're at least sorting entire sets of rows. So it's covering all the columns across to make sure that that internal ID stays associated to the value that you're working with. The checksum is something new that you will see on here. That's just internal, that shows a verification of when something has changed. It gives it a new checksum figure. It won't change it on your spreadsheet, but when it uploads it, it notices that it's a different, so it knows that there's a change that's taking place to that record. Inventory pricing master level, this is probably the most highly used spreadsheet in here. Real similar to the previous version. What we added to this one is some information columns, manufacturer and product line, and we also added vendor part number. So if you're using vendor part number for the EPO, e-commerce type stuff, and you're getting files from outside vendors for price updates, you're maintaining a vendor part number for those. You can use this. This will download into that as well, so you can utilize that for doing any cross-matching or using formulas to pre-populate price levels. And then again, you see your internal ID in your checksum column. Anything that's red on gray is an informational column only. And again, these are not required to be on the spreadsheet. You can pick and choose in this version which columns you actually want to see. So you see, this is the only area that you're actually applying changes to here. Local inventory update has a couple new columns as well. These are basically data fields that we have added to the system after the original version of data maintenance was completed. Restock max is one example of that. You see you do have your safety stock and your purchasing settings, active for sale, active for purchase, bin location maintenance. We also added average cost to this spreadsheet. If you do, purchasing and receiving errors with different unit of measures, sometimes those can get messed up if they use the wrong unit of measure and override a price. So you can do some maintenance on average costing here as well. And then you see some additional informational columns on this one that were not on the previous version as well. Master inventory update. This is anything related to the master inventory record as well as the unit of measure table for those master inventory records. Some new fields on here. Item type. Some people, if they're creating a new mixed paint part number, for example, they may code it as an inventory item by mistake originally. You can actually swap item types here and change it to a non-inventory item or miscellaneous item if that's the case. Inventory short description has been added. Very little use of that field in the system, but it is there. Core charge is another field where that's not currently being used for anything by the application, but sometime in the future that may become active. Auto case break, that's actually a default when you're adding a new item, and it's just saying that if you do add multiple unit of measures down the road, it's set up to automatically case break. So typically you're just going to leave all those set to true. Then you got your purchase minimums, transfer minimums, your VOC information, a few other new fields. We previously just had the asset account for GL, keeping in mind that these do not have to be populated if they're a standard item code, standard stocking item, as they're using your store location area information. DOT code has been added to the spreadsheet. That wasn't on the previous versions. That's a big plus right there. And VOC class was also added. So those are the different types of spreadsheets that you can work with today in data maintenance. And once again, we will be adding price pro updates to this and the ability to add new items to the system, whether it's via a price pro update for newly arrived product or just building one from scratch. Okay, so a couple things on the download. Just to set up a standard download, you choose which one you want to do. And this is a little different for the attributes and the price pro update in the future. Customer special pricing, maintenance, and so on. They're actually, you don't have a field selection grid because it's a set template that has to be used, which was the case in the old version. You weren't able to pick and choose which columns you wanted to download. In this one, you can. So depending on what you're working on, you don't need all of that information. So you pick and choose what you want. And then any other information that you would want. And then you can also filter where you're choosing what you want to download. So you can see you just have a pull-down list here of all the different filters you can use. One of those new filters being basically an active item range. So if it had any sort of transaction whatsoever, between a start date and an end date, it filters it so you're not seeing maybe extra part numbers you have in your system that aren't being used. There's really not much of a need to maintain it, or just because of what you're working on, maybe you only want to deal with active items. So any of these filters can be used to filter down what you want to pull into that. A new feature that we've added with this as well is the ability to build your own template, so you don't have to pick and choose all this stuff all the time. So if you're used to working with product categorization and you know exactly what fields you want, you can actually build one as a template. So when I select this, it pre-selects everything. It's got my filters in place that I've used. And then if I say I just want to be working on 3M for this particular one, I'll just go ahead and add another filter to it. And then I click on the link within that list, and then I can choose which manufacturer I want. So that's how you add your different filters to that. If you see one in there that you don't want, you can go ahead and click on the X and remove it. So you can always modify what the template is automatically going to establish for you. Add new columns if you needed something extra, and so on. You can test it, see how many items you're going to get with that value. Click on download. And then what I recommend you do here is to use the save drop-down arrow. So you can do a save as. That way you can choose exactly where you're saving it to. Sometimes it can end up in a temp folder, if depending on what you last accessed through Windows Explorer. So it's a good idea to do drop down and save as. You can choose exactly where you want this to be residing. It automatically will assign a name which is equal to the data type, the spreadsheet type that you're downloading, and the date. And then you can open it. So you'll see now that this spreadsheet, as compared to the one with everything on it, we've got a lot less information we're dealing with here. So any changes that you're going to make, I'll just go ahead and I'm going to simulate a couple errors in here so you can kind of see how the upload process works as well. So I'm just going to put a false product group in here. So this is basically a product group that doesn't actually exist in the system. So I can also remove columns. I can move columns around. You had to maintain that in the old version, so everything had to be in the exact same order. The only thing that's important here is, of course, that internal ID being associated with the proper item code all the way across the entire row. And the second thing is the column headers. These cannot be changed. When you're doing the upload, it's expecting these column headers to be exactly that, so it knows what field in your data it's updating. So it's real important that you don't modify column header names. You can do the standard deal as far as making a backup copy of your information. So, you know, when I first initially downloaded, I might add a sheet in here, copy everything to it, call it original data. The tab that uploads is data. So whichever tab you're actually using for your values that you're changing, just make sure that tab is labeled data, and that's the one that will be uploaded. I'm just going to save my changes here, and then we'll close the spreadsheet, and we're going to just return to our list. And now I'm going to go ahead and choose upload. One other thing that we also added to upload is now you can schedule that upload. So if you're working on something during the course of the day, you got a price increase coming up, you can actually schedule it to go off after business hours. You don't have to have the application open. It's sending everything to our server and maintaining it there. What it will do is it will first, once you say upload and you've got a scheduled time, it sends all of the information to the server and reports back to you if there's any failed potential problems with that spreadsheet, so you can correct them ahead of time, and then it just keeps rechecking it, and then it'll actually fire off that upload of that information into your system at the specified time. If you just need something to happen right away, you just use update now. But just like in the old version, you choose what type of update you're doing. This is a master inventory update. You do give your upload a name, and that's actually what you're seeing in that first list when you open data maintenance, is the different upload names that you have completed. Then I'll browse and locate my file. And if I wanted this to update later, we'll just put it for like 5 minutes from now. And then you'll just click upload. Now that's going to return you to the list, and you'll see that we've got a pending update right here. Then I can refresh the screen, and you'll see that that one did fail. So it hasn't actually made any changes. It's just telling you that this is scheduled. You can even see the scheduled time right here at 2:28. So what you do is you click on the link for failed, and it's reporting back to you where the issues are. So then what you do is you just click on it. It brings it down to the bottom, and I'm going to correct the product group field. I'll save that change. You see it does take place up top, and then I'll do the same for the other one. Save that, and then I just say retry, and that's going to basically send everything to the server again. I'll give it a couple seconds here, and then I'll just refresh the list. And it's come back with, there's nothing coming back as failed. So at that point, it's just sitting here, and it's going to be waiting for that scheduled time, and then it'll come back and it'll be completed. So you don't have to worry about additional errors coming through at this point, because it's already slated, it's double-checked everything, verified it, and it will take place at that scheduled time. Here's where you notice that the field selection for attributes as well as customer special pricing, all columns are fixed and required, so you don't worry about changing anything in here. It's just a matter of choosing filters if you need them. So let's kind of go through a couple of the different filtering pages. So you can look just to your promo profiles, for instance, if that's all you wanted to view and maintain. Maybe you're setting up new specials and closing out old specials and so on. You use your promotional filter. Each one of these spreadsheets also does have, a set of instructions. So you do have an instruction tab and then your data tab where the information is. And then you just want to work with your spreadsheet and handle your uploads and downloads. There's a lot of other details within the data maintenance application that we really just don't have time to go through now. A lot of you noticed kind of from the attendee list, a lot of you are current users of the old application. One thing to keep in mind is that that application is still fully functional, and it will be for a while. Once we have everything replaced in that version added to this new version, then we'll start, maybe querying, finding out who's all actually accessed the new data maintenance, make sure everybody's comfortable with it before we, at some point down the road, we will be discontinuing the service on the old app. Quite a ways down the road, so there'll be plenty of time, so there's no real rush to, you don't have to learn it by the end of the day today. What I recommend, if you do have other questions, is there is a link on the home page to the document. So once you log into the core ComCept application, that administration page, you'll see a link in there to the documentation, and that will allow you to read through that. Pretty much goes over everything we've kind of discussed here. Shows you a couple extra sample sets of data and so on. And then if you do have additional questions, need assistance in setting up security and stuff like that, by all means, put a support request in, and we'll get a technician with you as soon as we possibly can to get you rolling on this. That is all the information I have for you, and once again, I just want to thank everybody for checking out this webinar, and we look forward to working with you on this new application.
And thanks again from myself, also everybody. And if you have people in your organization that weren't able to attend today, or if you want to be able to go through this again for a refresher overview, it will be up on our corporate YouTube page, hopefully by the end of the week, first of next week at latest. If you want to link to that page, it's in the top right-hand corner of our website at www.comcept.net. There's a link there that will take you directly to that page and the videos for not only this, but all of the webinars we've done so far. So you can get other people involved as well that even weren't able to attend today. Thank you very much for your time. We look forward to bringing you more information on new things and exciting things we're doing in the future. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.